Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Think Future. My name's Calabucas, and once again, we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. We're talking innovation startups, the future. Not necessarily those, and not necessarily in that order. If you're watching on YouTube, smack that subscribe button and hit that bell so you'll be notified when a new show comes online. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast service, please subscribe, and please drop a note on Apple Podcasts if you like the show. I'd love to hear from you. So, marketing and sales of the future. You know what I find really funny is that I don't think people have realized what's going to happen in the future. I think they figure that we're going to continue to sell to people, right? We're still going to have to try and figure out ways of communicating to people and trying to get people to buy things. And I think there's a fallacy there. And I'm sure right now, for current day, we do still need to sell to people, right? Because ultimately, people are going to be making the decision as to whether or not they're going to buy something, right? If something's going to be purchased, it will most likely be done by a human being right now, at this point. But before you know it, sales will be done by machines, AI. Machines will buy things for you, maybe on a human person's behalf, maybe on a human being's behalf. But at some point in the future, and it may be coming sooner than you think, we are not going to be selling to human beings. We are not going to be pitching to human beings any longer. We're going to be pitching to machines. I'll give you an example. So I wrote something about the future of sales, and it was all about what are you going to do in a future where you don't buy things directly anymore. You never buy things directly anymore. You buy them through a virtual assistant. So what happens is a virtual assistant, you talk to your virtual assistant, and it's not going to be Alexa or Google or any of those other virtual assistants that you see today, because these virtual assistants that you see today all work for their own companies. They work for Google, they work for Apple, they work for Amazon. They don't work for us. I'm talking about the future virtual assistant. The future virtual assistant who works for us on our nickel and supports us against them. We're going to say to our virtual assistant, you know what? I want to go to Hawaii. I want to go to Hawaii, or I feel like going to Hawaii, or even the virtual assistant, if it's smart enough, isn't even going to wait for us to say, I want to go to Hawaii. It's going to say, hey, I think you need a vacation. I think you need to go to Hawaii. And it'll actually go ahead and start looking for trips to Hawaii. It'll know my calendar. It'll know when I can leave. It'll know when there's a quiet time at work, and it'll go and seek out Hawaiian vacations for me on my behalf. And then it will find 3 or 4 options and then present them to me and say, hey, here you go. I have found 3 or 4 Hawaiian vacations for you because it seems to me that you could really use a vacation. So the marketers who are selling or trying to pitch their version of the Hawaiian vacation, are they talking to the end user? No, they're not. They're talking to a virtual assistant. You're not going to be pitching to a human being. You're going to be pitching to a virtual assistant. And how are you going to pitch to a virtual assistant? I mean, we barely know how to pitch properly to a human being. How are we going to pitch to a virtual assistant? It's almost impossible, right? Sounds hard. But that's where the future of sales is. That's where the future of marketing is. Because right now we're pitching to people, and we know how to pitch to people. We know exactly how to pitch to people. We can be super accurate about pitching people and marketing to people and honing in on targets and going bang, bang, bang. So this number of messages, this quality, blah, 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 blah. We can use AI to zoom in on individual targets and hit them at the exact right moment when they're ready to buy something, and hit them with the offer. We're getting really good at that, using machines to manipulate humans. But what happens when those humans are not there anymore? What happens when there's a virtual assistant between your marketing message and the human? how are you going to market to the machine? You're going to have to start marketing to the machine. You have to start thinking about, how do I market to the machine? And that's going to blow your mind, because you're like, I have no idea how to market a machine. How are machines going to pull together what we might want to buy? Because they will. And in fact, they're doing it now. They're doing it right now, where you go into Amazon or whatever, and all of a sudden there's a list of things that they say, hey, here, based on the stuff you've looked at, based on the stuff you bought, here's some other stuff you might like too. Amazon is already talking to you, your customer. But soon they'll be talking to their virtual assistant. So there's my question to you. Have you thought at all about talking to machines? How do you pitch to a bot instead of a human? That's it for me for today. See you next time. Until then, don't forget to think future.